And here we are back with the Authenticity in Action podcast. And today, and I know that I say this every episode, so I feel not very authentic, but I am genuinely super excited today to sit down with my guest, Cristina Anderson. For those that don't know her, Cristina is a powerhouse coach in the CrossFit space. She's level 4. I think she's the quickest person to have achieved that in her coaching journey. Like, just went all in, CrossFit seminar staff, head coach at CrossFit Medfield. Mm-hmm. Amazing, strong, inspiring woman, powerhouse of a mother, like just kicking goals and crushing life. And where else would she rather be but here on the Authenticity in Action podcast? Welcome.
Thank you. I am authentically here. I have to say, earlier today I was like, oh, I'm gonna put on makeup. I'm gonna look beautiful. And because of our time zone difference, it is 10 p.m. for me. So this is my authentic self. I just got out of the shower. I'm not wearing any makeup, and I have pimple patches all over my chin because I'm really broken out right now. So I figured I'm just going to be authentic. This is me at night, everyone.
And
this is me at night.
For years Lisa did crazy times, but now everything's on Lisa time, so it's like middle of the day for me.
I actually like it. I'm wide awake at 10, like ready to go. So I'm excited.
And before you come on, like before we hit record, what did I say? Your shoulders are killer at the moment. Like, what the hell? So, we like this authentic version of you. It's awesome just as you are, rocking the shoulders. And
thank you.
It's a little bit like a flashback in time for us. Full transparency. I was Cristina's coach for a while. And she's used to having these calls where her feet were held to the toasty flames a little bit and uncomfortable. So today's going to be way more enjoyable for you, I promise.
Yeah. We had some good times.
Let the good times roll. So the premise of this podcast is about authenticity in action is exactly that. Authenticity, in my definition, authenticity is not a vibe, it's a verb, it's a doing word. And what I want to dig in with people from all walks of life is what their definition of authenticity is and how they're living that, because it can get thrown around as a Brene Brown, warm and fuzzy word like vulnerability, but then doing the actual work to be authentic, it's hard and gritty, the same as gratitude, like if you dig into it. And through this podcast, I want to talk to an amazing range of people, and you're one. And you're one of the first people I wanted to invite because you are super authentic and always have been in your journey. So we're going to dig into some of that stuff today. So I guess to kick us off, like your CrossFit HQ seminar staff, your level 4 CrossFit coach, like you're at the tip of the spear. You're an amazing mum, single mum to 2 young girls who are like strong and determined like their mother. I'll put it that way. They know their minds. So when trying to establish who I am or, who you are in your authentic self, how do you reconcile like these demanding roles that you have and vastly different and staying true and authentic in all spaces?
That's a really good question. And I feel like I'm just still a work in progress there. I think, for so long, my focus was, achieve the highest credentials that I could, and like for me, seminar staff was always the goal. And so, my coaching journey was fast, as you noted. I am, as far as I know, one of the fastest to achieve from level 1 to level 4 and then get onto seminar staff that is in existence. But the reason that happened was because I had this like insatiable hunger to prove to myself that I'm worthy of these things that I'm getting. And I think that something that I learned along the way is that having your level 4 and being on seminar staff does not erase those things. And I think that authenticity for me, like learning how to be authentically me with those hats, it's been a matter of actually just removing those hats and really taking a look at myself, because I think for a long time I would hide behind those things and like, who am I? Oh, I'm a level 4 coach. Oh, that's really impressive. I'm on seminar staff. That's really impressive. But for a while, it was kind of a mask, I guess, that I was kind of using to maybe be unintentionally inauthentic. So I don't know that I have an answer for you yet, but I do know that I'm like on that journey right now of just trying to figure out who the heck I am.
Spoiler alert, I think we're all on that journey still.
Yeah.
If someone tells you they've got their shit figured out, then immediately they do not.
Yeah. No.
And I think that's part of your strength, is that you can look in the mirror. Like I had Pat Barber on recently, who was talking about his definition of authenticity is honesty and being able to look and go, this is the person I am, and be honest with yourself. And you were able to step back and go, am I pursuing these things to seek external validation to fix other things? Or am I, now I understand that work didn't get done, that doesn't fix anything, they're just labels. And I think that was a really nice way you put it about saying, how am I authentic in these roles? Well, I take off the hats and I'm not in the roles. I'm just Crristina, and today I'm wearing a red shirt, tomorrow I'm wearing, a black shirt with, CrossFit Medfield written on it. And then when I'm at home, I'm just, trying to be the best parent that you can be.
Yeah.
So but another layer on your story, and you've been quite open about it, and haven't hidden from it, is that, being a larger body coach in the CrossFit space, which is known for aesthetics, and it celebrates a certain kind of physique, and particularly for women, it's harder. Like, it is very hard. So you have managed to, even at times, I know it was uncomfortable, but you've managed to own where you're at and own what you're working on, and not necessarily that could have stopped you pursuing these things, but you continue to pursue them in spite of it. So, how do you stay committed to that message and to your own body and acceptance of where you're at? And then understanding that you're also leading by example to people you don't even know on the interwebs.
Yeah.
You've got these two impressionable little humans. You've got a community in front of you at Medfield. Like, it's hard to open up in those spaces, but then how do you hold the course when it does feel icky?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because, I do think there was definitely a time where that was a huge focus for me. I think I saw it as an avenue to not only inspire, but to gain a little bit of clout, I guess. Hey, like if I kind of jump on this, like I'm a larger bodied person, but I still do CrossFit and I'm fit. I got a lot of attention on social media for kind of speaking out about how I truly do believe that fitness is about what you can do and what you can achieve physically rather than what you aesthetically look like. But I think that the problem is not that that's inauthentic, because I do truly believe that. And that is what I try to teach my daughters, and that is what I try to preach when I'm coaching in the affiliate. But I think that I kind of in the past fell into this niche where then I think I was kind of expected to stay that coach and stay that body size and stay that in that snapshot of life. And I actually recently I'm sure we'll go into this deeper, but I recently restarted my Instagram account. My previous Instagram account had gained 14,000 followers that wanted to see that. They wanted to see the overweight coach that was confident and like didn't care what people thought about her. But what I was starting to see as a result was that when I was actually making some progress and starting to like shift my focus on just wanting to get better at CrossFit, and my body has changed a little bit more, which always was my goal. People started to question me, and kind of wonder like, oh, is she really advocating for larger bodies? Is she really, is this really, a healthy place for me to be? She's talking about getting fitter and, and it just like, it really got me thinking about the fact that I don't know that I wanted to fall into this one specific niche. Nothing
Mm.
has changed about what I believe about our bodies. I think one of my proudest accomplishments is that my daughters have no concept of their body other than I like to do things,
Mm.
like, oh, like I like to climb the wall at the playground. I like to do CrossFit Kids. I like to do gymnastics. My older daughter, we just recently went shopping for a bunch of new clothes for her for summer that had to be a larger size. Didn't care at all. Didn't care at
Mm.
all. Oh, I just need a different size because it's not her fault. It's the pair of shorts fault that we need a
Yeah.
different size. And so like that, nothing has changed about what I believe, but I think unfortunately in the past I got really pigeonholed into being this one body type and this one type of coach that had one message. And I don't know, I had to start over. So I just recently started over, and I'm still really trying to figure out, um I just like, yeah, you got to put yourself out there, be authentic, be vulnerable, and know that like the message won't resonate with everybody. That's okay. But this is who I am.
And I think it's having the strength to realize that and step away. Like most people who have, if they ever have 14,000 followers, like, oh, well, I can't let that go. But
Yeah.
you are very aware too of the reasons why you do certain things. And you are like, well, if I start generating content just to appease the algorithm or the
Yes.
beast, then
Yep.
that messes with who I am, because then you get that disconnect between who you are, but what you're putting out to the world. And you're like, that doesn't fit. Like, I'm very confident now someone can see you on this podcast and then see you at a seminar and they go, oh, she's exactly the same. Like, you're not a different version. Whereas if you're doing stuff to appease the masses or the algorithm, people might meet you at a seminar and go, oh, she's a lot nicer, or she's different, or she's whatever.
Mhm.
And I totally feel you in that larger body coach athlete space. That's where I was for a very long time. And some people get stuck in that and let that define their journey. Like, this is the hill I'm going to die on. This is where I'm at. And
Yeah.
to make me want to be any different that's wrong of you. You're, body shaming and that sort of stuff. But we can all accept that our needs evolve over time.
Yeah.
And what we
Yeah.
want evolves over time. We evolve as humans. It's like, I was here, but I didn't love it. And if you love it there, have at it. But I choose to be a functional, healthy version. And CrossFit is a tool for how I'm getting there. Not your be all. Did you find that when you had that account with the, gazillion followers, that you kind of use that as a bit of a crutch as well for validation? Like, oh, I got 300 likes on this post.
Yep. 100%. And so, I mean, and that has taken a lot of like deep dives in therapy where I realized, I grew up in a home that did not have much love. My emotional needs were not met when I was a child, among other things. But I think that's really the most common theme. And so actually remember the day that I deleted that account very vividly. I remember looking in the mirror and just thinking, man, like, you think these 14,000 people love you? They don't. They don't. Like, not true love. And I know there were so many wonderful, wonderful people that would follow me, and I hope they find me again. I do, because there were so many wonderful people who would raise me up and support me, and they would just encourage me to keep showing up. They would see some of the negative comments and they would swoop in and try to, like, give me this big hug, and I truly believe that there were people that cared about me, but there was something about that number, that 14,000, like, wow, I must be loved. And I think I
Mm,
realized like, yeah, but why do you still feel so unloved? And
mm,
so that's why I needed to get rid of it
mm,
completely and do some work within myself, do some work with the relationships that are, in my real life, my face-to-face life, um, and just figure out a little bit more there, dig a little bit deeper.
mm. And that's it's a hard space to be in where your needs externally weren't being met that can leave you open to falling down some of those rabbit holes where
Yeah.
you think, oh, like this, group of people, they genuinely like me, but then it's like, well, no, they just want to leverage your follower account or leverage
Yeah.
this or, whatever. And
Hmm.
you or a person in your situation goes, oh, they want to include me. They want to, bring me into the inner
Yes.
circle. And it's like, oh, actually, it was never about me. And
Yep.
when you haven't had those external needs met, it becomes really hard then to move
Yeah.
forward with relationships because you're like, well, if they did that, you're going to do that. And what's going to stop you doing
Yeah.
that? And you start to then not be that full version of yourself. Would that be
Yeah.
true?
Absolutely. That happened to me on more than one occasion where, I would get maybe collaborate with somebody through CrossFit or through coaching or just through some kind of connection on Instagram. And the intention became pretty clear where it wasn't necessarily about me. It just was, what kind of leverage can I help you get? How many people, how many of my 14,000 people would see your thing and then, want to be
Mm,
involved in what your thing is. And, and I mean, that's the world we live in, right? Like social media is such a huge driver for,
mm,
revenue for businesses and getting, I mean, it's how small businesses survive. I
mm,
completely understand that. But I think that when you get yourself into that situation and then you realize like, yeah, like you're saying, like, I'd be like, oh my gosh, like, can I say XYZ? Is this person going to be mad? Am I supposed to now represent this thing? And you start to, you completely lose yourself. You
mm,
completely lose who you are. And so yeah, I think uh that was a big part of it too. It's just like what happens when I strip this all away? Who am
mm,
I? Like who is authentic Cristina Anderson? I don't know.
mm.
But yeah.
Well, you
We'll find out
definitely
tonight.
uh, you are definitely closer to finding that out through going through
Yeah.
that process of going,
Yeah.
okay, well, if I was leaning on this thing that I no longer have,
Mhm.
well, then who am I without this thing? And, that happens through all walks of life if we let go of a partner or a job or, something that we use to define ourselves. And I know, like, when I let go of the affiliate I owned, I struggled for a while with who am I? Because my identity was that affiliate. I am an affiliate.
Yeah.
That's who I was. If
Yeah.
someone sat me down and said, well, who's Lisa? Well, I'm an affiliate owner. And that's because I was so not living in alignment with who I really was, I attached myself to this external thing. And then when I didn't have that, it was like, well, shit, who am I now? Like,
Yeah.
what am I? Do I even matter? And it's a very big thing to
Yes.
step away. And, when I saw you pop back up, like, hey, here I am, I'm back. I was like, yay. But then I was thinking, how is this time going to be different?
It's a great question. I'm just really uh even now I think because you know what, I actually don't remember the exact day that I deleted, but I have been off of Instagram for quite some time. Multiple months. It's been 2 or 3
Mm,
months. Um
yeah.
and I think that I'm so and I hope it stays this way. I'm so accustomed now to not looking at it that um you know, I don't know how much commenting I'm going to do. I don't know how much liking of other people's things. And, like, I really just like if something inspires me in the moment and I feel like, hey, this could make a difference in people's lives, then I'm going to post that and then I'm just going to put it away. And I
Mm,
think just like really not, like you said earlier, definitely putting things out there and then kind of gauging like how many likes am I going to get, or like how many people are going to respond to this, and are people going to validate me that this was a good post, and am I making a difference? It's like I can't care. That's none of my business. Like whatever I decide to put out there, I'm just going to put it out there, because ultimately my main goal is that I just want as many people as possible to realize what they're truly capable of. Because I think that like there are so many people that have no idea, and they kind of sleepwalk through life. And because I was one of those people, so I completely understand what that's like. And for me, the avenue was CrossFit. That's what changed my life. And so that's the avenue that I use to inspire other people to just wake up and like look around and realize like how am I living my life, and how can I be living my life, and what am I capable of? If I can climb a 15-foot rope, what else can I do? And so I'm just going to put stuff out there, and hopefully it's great for people and it changes people's lives, but I probably won't know either way.
Yeah.
And I'll just put it out there.
That's a good intention to start with, like just putting stuff out there. My intention is to help, but how you receive it is up to you. And you're right, like what other people think of me is none of my business. Hard to carry that on,
So
but
hard.
it's you can't control. Like I could offer you something with the coming from a genuine place to help, and you might not like it because you're not ready to receive that. Well,
yeah,
that's okay. That's not me. That's I just need to keep doing my thing. But it gets very murky in that social media. So, I think that you've had the break, and knowing you as I do as a human, I think when you have had a break from something and you come back to it, you tend to be very intentional about what you curate and what you allow through. And it's not the, I just spent, an hour scrolling and I actually didn't achieve much, but I went down a spiral because someone wrote this comment, and then I felt like I had to answer it. And, we know people that get into that, and it's just like, if you're always fighting a battle, it's bloody exhausting.
Yeah.
And if you're always picking the fights, it's exhausting. Which is different to people, and we've got a mutual friend who will quickly get on and she will stand up for something that's right. Now that's not picking a fight. That is, correcting actual misinformation and perception, which is great. But there are people who will just go on there and go, oh, I'm going to pick a fight with you now because I've exhausted all my avenues. Like that must be an exhausting space to be in.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So, if we just stay with CrossFit for a moment, and I don't want this to be totally about CrossFit and coaching, and we'll delve into some other areas of your life. But, as I said earlier, CrossFit has historically been associated with lean and muscular bodies. And, as someone who doesn't fit that mold, which I never did, and you embody authenticity in an environment where physical appearance often gets the most attention, either good or bad. So how do you challenge these perceptions and norms, like in your day-to-day interactions with your members in the gym?
I just try to be so real with them, like this morning I was coaching a class and I realized I pulled chicken out of the freezer and I forgot to marinate it. And so like,
Tasty.
I'm giving the whiteboard brief and I'm like, damn it, I forgot to marinate my chicken. And then I was like, I probably shouldn't be talking to you guys about cooking chicken right now as we're about to do a workout, but like let's dive in, guys. How do you marinate your chicken? And it's like I just think it automatically, like the whole class just like guard down. They're like, hell yeah, can we just not work out and just talk about chicken? Like, is that fine? Which then like ultimately goes down the rabbit hole of like, okay, but like what are we having with the chicken? Are we talking like potatoes? Like, what are we being held? Are we going to eat broccoli or like a salad, or are we going to like go all out? Are we going to get like the like souped up mashed potatoes with like butter and sour cream, and it's because here's the thing, like, do I sometimes enjoy eating that stuff? Yeah. But like, within moderation, right? And I'm
Mm,
I'm just a huge proponent of like you should enjoy your life. And I just have worked with in my history way too many coaches that act like, they're up on this high horse where they are just absolutely jacked and ripped. And I'm not saying that that is not hard work. Like that is incredibly hard work. However, that
mm,
is not a body aesthetic that I want because I
mm,
don't want to live that lifestyle. And I think it's taken me a really long time to be able to say that out loud and think that's okay. And it's also okay with me if you're a coach listening to this and you're like, oh my God, she's off her rocker. That's not okay. Like, we can't be promoting that. But it's like, to me, I remember what it was like, where it's like, okay, I've had the coach that was like, you can't eat more than one banana a day. And you have to understand that raspberries have a higher sugar content. And so maybe a better choice would be a nice green grape because purple grapes are not good for you. So like, whereas when I had that mindset, I would just find myself face first an entire carton of Oreos the next
yeah.
day because I lose my mind. So I
Mm.
know what it's like to need to find that balance. And I've found a way to enjoy the things that I enjoy and poke fun with my members and talk about Easter candy and talk about stuff like that and know that like hopefully they see me working really hard, accomplishing things in the gym. We have a giant like goal board and I wrote 10 goals at the end, the beginning of the year. And I've already achieved 2 of them. And like, I have been slowly changing my body, just because of the byproduct of doing CrossFit, being happy, chasing after, beating fit people in workouts and like talking a lot of shit because, like it's just fun. Even when I can't win, it's just fun. So it's just, I don't know. It's just the more real I can be with them. I hope, I hope I'm getting it right. Maybe I'm not, but I just really am trying to just be honest about my own journey.
And I think, for me, and I've known you for a while now, at least a couple of years.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, time flies. But this is probably the happiest I've seen you because the joy radiates from what you're saying
Yeah.
because you're now in alignment. You're not, you know, you underwent a process where you were like trying to fulfill someone else's
Yeah.
idea of what success looked like, what you should want, because what you want was not right. And that was pursuing seminar staff or level 4, or being a head coach. That was not right. That was not what you should be pursuing. You should go and pursue these other things. So you did that because you had trust and you went and did that. But as the person who sat across the screen from you every week, now it's a very different version because you're not trying to fit that square peg in the round hole, because now you're doing, you know what? This is my purpose. This is what I want to do. And I'm actually living it on my terms rather than, what everyone else tells me a perfect life should look like. Does that make
Mm.
sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like you're a great example, and if I could, would insert a snapshot of 2 years ago when you were essentially getting paid $2.50 an hour for work you were doing, and just trying to be all things to all people, to the
Yeah.
lightness that I see in front of me and the way that your face lights up. So, makes me super proud because
Aw.
on a lot of my stuff, I talk about the cost when you're not living in alignment and you're not living authentically. And people can talk about it like it's a Brene Brown quote, which is great. But if you're actually living it, it manifests in, huge ways. Like you said, I'm happier, I'm in control now, and you can put boundaries in place where you need to with relationships and people and devices
Yeah.
and go, you know what? This is my definition of success and I'm owning it. So I don't think
Yeah.
it gets more authentic than that in this
Yeah.
space.
Yeah. And
So
I love, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, you go.
I love that I get to be that and still do all the things that I always dreamed of doing. Because I think that I thought being on seminar staff meant that I had to be a certain way, and I thought being a level 4 coach meant that I had to be a certain way. But I am learning that I can still be me, and I can still be both of those things. And really just the main goal of just inspiring people. And my story is a lot different than some of my coworkers. And that's okay. That's okay. Because it allows me to relate and speak to the people that resonate with my story, and then any coworker that I work with is going to reach a different group of people, and that's what makes us an amazing team, with just like a background of all different kinds of coaches and backgrounds.
And that's the beauty of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And true authenticity in coaching is being able to walk in a room and go, I'm not just going to stand up, be Cristina, and tell you, well, I'm delivering this from on high. Here's your thing. It's like, I know what you need. I know what you need. I know what you need, and be able to deliver things in a way that's, meaningful to that individual recipient, regardless whether you have just met them and you only have a weekend with them, or they're a member of your community that you see every day at the affiliate. So as a coach, like, you're often helping people push past their physical limits, like go heavier, go faster, climb a rope, all that things. How do you help or encourage or even role model to your athletes about pushing past mental and emotional blocks that are related to authenticity, body image, self-doubt, which might be then creating these physical limits because of that mental block?
Oh, that's a case by case basis for sure. Every single athlete that I work with is coming from a different place. And a couple people come to mind immediately. I have a woman who is just going through a really, really rough time, and reached out to me just this past week saying something along the lines of like, I need you to kick my butt back in gear. Like, I'm feeling sorry for myself. I'm scaling, I'm taking the easy way out. I'm being a baby, and I need you to just like push me harder. And immediately I got the message, and I'm like, can we chat in person? Like, cause there's a lot going on here, and I just really want to dig in. And, I think we had a great conversation that had, a couple of different kind of options for her, where it's like, hey, insight one into that is, it's okay to have a couple off workouts. Like, it's okay if you scale a weight that you wouldn't normally scale because you're just not feeling it that day. Intensity is relative. Yes, high intensity is how we get results, but it's relative not only to your physical capacity, but your psychological capacity. So if you are going through a hard time and the weights just feel heavier and you just feel sluggish, sometimes that's okay, and you have to accept it. And so kind of just talking to her about like, that doesn't mean that you're being a little bitch, excuse my language, but like that, that was kind of like the language that she used. And, I'm like, so like, let's just shift that mindset there. And then there was a workout, coming up later that week that I knew that she could potentially use the same weight. It was just a different workout. I knew that she could use the same weight that she had quote unquote failed on, in this, the workout she was texting me about. And, I was like, you know what, let's try that again, in this next workout. And I actually didn't tell her that. It was just in my head. I was like, this is what we're going to do. Like, she, the weight in question was 75 pounds. I was like, you know what? She can definitely do it for this next workout because it's a hang power clean, a little more comfortable movement for her. And so, we do the class, and she does the 75, and I say, hey, redemption from the other day, huh? And like the dots just kind of connected, and she was like, oh my God. And I'm just like, see, like, and she looked so confident and strong that day. And so with that, it was like, hey, let's learn how to give ourselves a little bit of grace, but then pick the day when we're feeling kind of good and confident and, ready to get after it and remind ourselves that just because we had one bad day doesn't mean that our entire fitness is going down the drain.
Mm.
I just like, I just think I'm thinking of so many different conversations I've had recently that, a gentleman just this morning, yesterday went a little heavier than normal. And he's like, I went too heavy yesterday. I went too heavy. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And he's like, well, I was just so tired. And I'm like, okay, are you in any pain? He's like, no. And I'm like, okay, are you sore? Are you like, you didn't get injured, right? He's like, no, I feel fine. I was so tired yesterday. It was clearly too much. I said, I don't think it was. I just think that you are finally starting to grow and push outside of the margins of your experience and you're getting fitter. And he was like, oh my God, you right. Like, and it's just like, so like everybody's different, right? Like with that gentleman, I often do have to go over to the dumbbell rack and go grab him a heavier one because he's always gonna like pull himself back a little bit. But it's like, I don't know, just seeing those moments where it's like you just see something click where somebody starts to believe something or somebody's kind of overcomes something. It just, yeah, I mean, it's conversations, it's getting to know the individual person. I mean, it's truly, there's no one answer. Like every person is different, and every person's mindset is different, and every person's life story is different, and that's how they walk into the gym with all of that. And it's our job as coaches to figure out how to navigate that and then figure out how to have them break down their barriers. And because we all have them, even the fittest guy in the gym has barriers, right? We all have barriers. It's I love that part of the job.
And I think if you are not okay with you and know who you are, then you can't go there with them, because then you go insert coaching line here and, you just need to harden up, or you need to scale more, or whatever, versus like, well, I'm okay with me and I've scaled, or I've done this, or I know when to push. So then you can go there with them. And that lets you be open and vulnerable with those in those moments, like you were just saying, that person saying, oh, well, I'm got a scale and I'm this. It's not the end of the world. It's one workout. One workout doesn't make you suddenly you've lost all your fitness gains. And, quite often we have people come to us who are injured and they're like, oh, I got to go on hold, or I got to quit. I can't do what I could always do. But there's an opportunity there, and you don't just lose your fitness gains by not doing CrossFit RX for one workout. It just doesn't go away.
Yeah.
So I guess if we change direction a little bit and talk about parenthood. So there you go. You're like, well, let's restart the clock. Let's go. Being a single mother and a working single mother, like you've got you travel, you've got a very full schedule. It comes with its fair share of challenges. Like any form of parenthood is, you're suddenly, all you had to worry about in the world was yourself. And now you've got this little squish ball screaming mess that relies on you for everything. So how have you sort of managed expectations from yourself and probably what others would have from you as a parent without compromising your authenticity about who you are as a mother and who you wanted to be as a mother? And adding into that, I guess like you said, you had a difficult childhood, so then you're figuring out how to parent without necessarily having that role model to you from experience. So then how do you manage all of that and those pressures?
Yeah. It's one of the biggest challenges that I face. And I think still kind of working through it, but I think just the nature of my job and the hours, my kids are with me at work a lot. And there was a time, and there still are times, where they're just there. They're in my face. They're asking me questions and I'm trying to coach. And all that's going through my head is like, you're not professional. You're a hot mess. Everybody thinks you're a crazy. You're like yelling at your kids. You're at the gym. You're not paying attention to these people who are paying, X dollars a month for a membership, and your kids are scootering around or running around and interrupting things, and they're going up to the people they like. And like, all I could think about is how much of a nuisance this is. And I realized recently that that comes from the fact that I was labeled a nuisance as a child. And I think like growing up, the more quiet I was and the more in the corner I was, the better it was for everybody. And so I was really conditioned from a young age to sit down, shut up, not make a sound, and not have any needs. Do not have any emotional needs. As long as I could follow those things, my life was okay. And so I kind of realized recently, like, oh my gosh, like I really need to figure out what the priorities are here. And so, priority one is just making sure that my affiliate owners are okay with my situation. And I am pretty darn sure that they are. They're very supportive, of just the fact that my kids are at the gym all the time. For example, this week was spring break week, and we are rounding up day 4 of my kids being at the gym all day long with me. And it's just what it is. That's my life. Like, there's no way around it. I don't have family nearby. I don't have people that I really can trust for extended periods of time. So it's just where I'm at right now with my life and the way things are. And just tonight, I had kind of an off day, and the girls have really just needed a lot, and it's been really stressful. I think any parent with kids on vacation understands, like, it's just, I mean, you could do 20,000 things for them. It's never enough. So it just kind of, I hit a point tonight, and then we got in the car, and, I just like looked at them. I said, do you guys know that I love you? And my older daughter was like, Mom, you ask us that all the time. We know, we know, we know. And I'm like, I know. I just really need you to understand how much I love you. And I'm so sorry that sometimes I get kind of snippy, and I just, and I like, I just act like I want you to get away. And I never want you to get away. I love you so much. It's just, there's a lot on my mind tonight, and there's a lot going on at work. And, um, I just try to be as real as real and authentic with them as well. And the way that I look at it is like, this is life, like, you're going to interact with people that get frustrated with you, and like, but it doesn't mean that they don't love you anymore. And I think that that's just something I've grown to believe. I still struggle with it. If somebody, like, somebody questions something that I've put in the programming, I'm like, oh, you don't love me, I suck, and it's just like, and it's like, hold on, so I really try to remind them, like, even though I'm not perfect, and I'm sometimes, not as loving at work when I'm a little bit stressed, I still love you. And I think it's just, communicating those human moments, and also just realizing, what, if somebody, if one of my gym members comes to my gym and they truly, truly have a problem with my kids, they can absolutely go and have a conversation with the owners, and we'll do the best that we can to deal with it. But it's part of having me as a coach. Like, that's just it. Like, it's part of having me as a coach. And it's I will do my best to try to accommodate people's needs, but that's just something that I need, regardless of if it's okay for people.
And I think, 2 things in there, like, that was awesome. But, like, in years to come, and when your daughters have their own kids potentially down the track, like, and they reflect on what they had, their memory is not gonna be of the times you yelled at them in the gym and said, "Just, just not now, like, I just need a minute."
Yeah.
Their memory is gonna be, "My mum worked so hard to give us everything that we had," and I could see that, even though I was too young to understand it, and that
hope
even
so.
though things were hard. That's what they'll remember. Like for me, like I was just reflecting while you were talking, like on my own childhood, not amazing, like not, the same thing, emotional needs. Maybe that's why we're friends. But I will still die on the hill of, like, my mother worked so hard to give us what we needed. We didn't have everything we wanted. We had a
Yeah.
roof over the head. She worked 5 or 6 shitty jobs. My grandparents would help and that sort of stuff. And she would work, and, maybe that's how she showed love. I don't know. But she worked so hard to give us that. And that's now what I look back on and reflect. And even though our relationship is still very complex, but, people are like, well, why do you do so much for her now? I was like, she did everything. And maybe she resented the fact that she had to give up her own dreams to then take care of us because the situation she was in or choices, don't know. But she did what had to be done when it could have been easier, to do less. So, I will forever be grateful for that. So I think your kids aren't going to remember the individual times that, oh God, we spent every day at the gym, it was so bad. It's like, I got to see my mother, when they can comprehend it, save and change lives.
Yeah.
And they know with you that there's no filter. Like, when it's good, it's good. When it's not, we're going to talk about it, and we're going to,
Yeah.
and you're teaching them that it's okay to have big feelings and emotions and to feel things and not just be seen and not heard kind of thing. And actually don't even be seen, like just
Yeah.
be in the background, So I think, I know you find that this period challenging, but I like, as the little people grow and develop and they can comprehend more, they're going to see the strength in that. Like, I'm very confident of that. Like, they're going to go through stages where you've sent me photos of, like, do not come in my room and all this sort of stuff. And I don't, but that's just like a fleeting thing, that they're going to hang on to these core memories of people that impacted them. And as for people coming into the gym, people will come into a gym, they'll pick up the vibe very quickly, and they'll go, yep, this is my tribe, or this is not the right vibe for me. And then they'll self-select out.
Yeah.
It doesn't even need to be a thing. Someone's not going to join and go, well, I don't like kids in the gym. Well, have you seen our gym? Did you try our class? Because guess what? This is what it is. I had some members who weren't keen on the babies, even one of my coaches, so I never booked her to coach the 9:30 a.m. mums class, because didn't align with her. I was like, you know what? You never have to coach that class unless somebody's died and I can't be there. And that's fine. And she went on her thing. She never expected her. I would pick up the babies and look after the babies. Don't expect you to do that, dude. Like, that doesn't align with you. And if you do that, then that the baby's going to scream, and that's just going to make it worse because they know you're not into them. So through our conversation, like, what I MC is like, you're okay with you, or this is me, take me or leave me. So when we talk about embracing imperfection, which that kind of is, because spoiler alert, none of us are perfect.
Yeah.
What does it look like for you in your life in general? Like, whether you had to lean into that sort of mindset, either with your kids or at the gym or just in your life, and how it might have changed the outcome of a situation because you leaned into that. This is how it is. This is the messy middle. This is what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I still think that's my biggest struggle. Because I have just so many times and moments where I feel like, oh, like, why isn't this person like me? And like, why am I not enough? And, I just feel like I'm trying so hard and I just can't make everybody happy. And, I think anybody who works in a gym or owns a gym or is any type of leadership position of a gym, that like the people have a lot of opinions, and, it's really, really hard for me not to take those things personally, because I just put so much of myself into what I do, to a fault, I would say. And so, it is hard sometimes. Like I want to be like there's a side of me that's like, yeah, this is me, take me or leave me. Like, this is what I think about today's workout. Like, take it or leave it. Like, I know about fitness and you don't. Like, like not in that many words, but like I do. I still fall victim all the time to I'm not good enough. I still suck. People don't respect me. If I was thinner and had more abs, people would stop questioning everything I do. Maybe people would stop thinking that the programming isn't good enough. Like it is a never-ending battle, but I would say that it's just like exercising a muscle where it's just getting easier and easier the more that I try it. I actually had an interaction tonight that left me feeling really less than. Somebody was simply asking a question. However, it wasn't asking a question, it was questioning, which is a big difference. And it really set me off. And I was driving home and I'm like, gosh, like, going back to what we talked about in the beginning, it's like, gosh, like I get this level 4, I get on seminar staff and people still just don't respect what I have to say. It's so frustrating. And I go down this rabbit hole of like, why am I not good enough? What do I have to do to be good enough? Like, what do I need to lose weight? Like it does. I go down those same spirals of like all the things that I've struggled with in my life. But I knew that we were having this conversation tonight. I put my kids to bed after they had a lovely dinner. I took a shower and I really just thought like, hey, like, I know that this hurts right now, that you're struggling right now, but this is no reflection on you or your worth. And I kind of thought to myself, like, how can I go back to this person and maybe just like ask them a few more questions about what they're kind of coming from and like what their beliefs are, and like maybe get to know a little bit more rather than that kind of knee jerk, like, why doesn't anybody respect me type of thing. And I think that I I just think I honestly think the people out there that say like, wow, you shouldn't care what people think about you. And like, I don't care what people think about, like, I just think it's bullshit. Like, I think everybody struggles with this, but it's a matter of like, I struggled with it tonight for like maybe 2 hours, and like, not that I'm past it, but like, I just feel like I'm like, okay, like, took a shower, like life moves on. I'm going to go to bed soon. And we'll try again tomorrow, and kind of like give myself the grace of like, all right, I'm going to show up again tomorrow. I'm going to try again to be more confident and just be me. So I just think it's, I don't know. I don't have the answer. And I just think that the more that you just try to do that, I think that the time that you spend being so wrapped up in that, kind of the, the self-doubt, or just like the desire to maybe become inauthentic to please the person that you're, facing. I think that gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and it just kind of, it kind of diminishes over time.
And I really like what you said about like, maybe I can go back to them, asking more questions to understand their perspective. So it's, how do we approach something? And I'm reading at the moment The Happiness Trap by Russ Harris, which is about the ACT therapies. And it's talking about like, if something comes up, it's looking at it with curiosity. And, I had a friend who used to say when something happened, she'd go, well, isn't that interesting? So rather than investing in the thought or the whatever had happened and going down full catastrophe, stepping back, and that gives you that distance to go, well, isn't that interesting? Then you can ask more questions and figure out, oh, that's where you're coming from. And you weren't intentionally being a douche about it, but that's just the way you speak, or, your frame of reference. Yeah. And then we suddenly have a whole new perspective, because, one of the things I talk a lot about in my other podcast is giving ourselves grace for the journey that we're on and have been on, but also then the person we're interacting with. Because quite often, for example, in my example, when we come out, and you've got to come out like every fucking day in a million different ways to a million different people. It's just it's never ending. And I've had time to be okay with who I am and know who I am. And I know, my values. They've known me as version 1 of Lisa for 46 and a half years at that time. And then I'm going to go and dump this thing on them. And then they give a reaction that's like, oh, or not what I feel entitled to. And
Mm.
I needed to go back and give them grace to have time to process it, because your reaction is based on instantaneous, not my 10 years of wrangling with this and getting around it.
Yeah.
So we can be kinder to ourselves in that situation, but also the other person. So
Yeah.
maybe they had a bad day, maybe they had a thing, or maybe they've
Yeah.
had another coach lecture them.
Yeah.
And I used to feel like you did, like when someone questioned the programming and the whatever in the gym. And recently I was talking to one of my former members who now goes to a gym and they follow Proven, so Tia Claire's programming. And they bitch about it. Like, you know, they don't like the programming, it's this, that. And I'm like, never was my programming. It's just programming in general. Because if you're going to bitch about the programming from the best in the world, then there's nothing going to make you happy. And I was like, never was about me. It was about them.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just that little light bulb that sort of came off at that time. So I think that that's really a good way that you've talked about how you embrace those imperfections, but how you don't also let it send you down the rabbit hole, and you're aware of those tendencies that you have. So I don't want to keep you up all night, so I am conscious of your time.
Fine.
So I've got some, we could talk for hours, and we always
I know.
But, you know, as somebody who has been a mentor or is a mentor and a leader in the coaching space, what advice do you give to other coaches and leaders, or what concerns do you have? Maybe not what advice, we don't give advice, but what concerns you have about, like, some of the ickiness that goes on in that space and manipulation? Because you've walked it, I've walked it, so I think it's something good that we can dig into a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I get these questions all the time at seminars. So, you know, there's always one or two people at every seminar that raise their hand and they say, well, what about the guy that never squats to depth and like he's fitter than me? So like, how am I supposed to coach him and tell him to squat lower? Like, doesn't he know he's not squatting low enough? And I hear these things and I'm like, wow, like they're on this same journey that I'm on, and I'm just like a little bit ahead, right? Like, because those are kind of some of my more, you know, initial thoughts in getting into coaching. Like, namely, I'm not as fit as most people. So how the hell am I supposed to coach you, right? So like, insert scenario here. There's, you know, every gym has the guy that puts on too much weight, or the girl who doesn't want to scale, or, you know, whatever. Like, it's just these universal little avatars are in every single gym. And so, you know, anytime I get a question like that, I usually am just like, dude, I get it. I so get it. Like, God, I felt the same exact way. I really, really did. And it just took time of building confidence and having conversations. That's the thing. It's like, we all just assume. We all do it. Like, we all do it all the time. And it's like, you know, like, I don't know. You get better at it over time. At first, it's really scary. You know, it's really scary to pull that guy aside and say, like, hey, listen, I don't know if you know this, but like, you're really not getting to depth. And it's like, how do you have that conversation? You know, and it's like, we try to provide the tools in the seminar. So it's like, we try to educate why we do train full range of motion and what are the benefits, right? And so then you have to figure out, like, okay, how am I going to get through to this guy, right? And it's like, well, what does this guy want? He loves to be the top of the leaderboard, so he wants to be strong, he wants to be fast. Well, guess what's going to get you stronger and faster? Full range of motion. You know, hey, do you want to be able to have healthy knees for the rest of your life? We should probably train that full range of motion, right? And you keep planting those seeds, right? And I think that people just assume, like, yeah, but I told him to get lower and he didn't, so like, now what? And it's like, no. You told him to get lower, you did a little piece of education, and now you just let it sit. You just let it, like, you know, plant the seed, if you will. And at some point, the seed will blossom. And I guarantee you will get no credit for the seed. The person's going to come up to you and be like, God, wow, guess what? I just realized I don't squat to depth. And you're like, oh my gosh, like, wow, imagine that. And it's just, but that's like, I can't tell you how many times through my coaching journey that I've had that exact situation, not necessarily with a squat depth, but just like a thing that I plant a seed, and all it is like a little seed of like the CrossFit methodology and why we do what we do. And then like, months later, they're like, oh my God, I just learned this amazing thing about CrossFit. And you just smile and you say, that's amazing. That is so cool. And
Yeah.
that you're a part of it, but like we have to just, as coaches, as people, just people working with people in general, you cannot control how somebody perceives you. You can't control if they respect you. You can't control if they're going to give you credit for what you've done. You can't control if they're going to appreciate you. You can't control any of those things, but you can just be you, be authentic, sell it, plant the seed, and not take it personally that they don't want the seed. Like it's just, and like I say that, I'm also yelling at myself because I still take this personally sometimes. I really, really do. Like I am not past this by any means. But again, the more you just kind of have these conversations and have success with it, you over time, you build confidence. There's no like quick answer to how to coach the fittest but poorest moving athlete in your gym. Like there's not, but you can work at it over time.
And I think it comes down to that curiosity, like, why is this
Yeah.
hard for you? Like,
Mhm.
are you even aware? Like, awareness
Yeah.
precedes action. Like, are you aware? Well, no one's ever told me before.
Mhm.
Cool. Let's talk about that. Let's see what we can do. And it's being open to that. So I've got a couple of questions that I hit everyone with at the end of the podcast. These are the fun
All
ones.
right.
So what is one thing that people get wrong about you or assume because of your image or your background?
I think I don't want to say this is not necessarily not true, but I think people just assume that I am like incredibly, incredibly sensitive. I am sensitive. But I think people receive my sensitivity incorrectly. I I wouldn't say that I cry a lot per se, but I'm very passionate about what I do, and I'm very passionate about the people that I work with, and I truly love the members at my gym, and I mean they are my family. I don't have family that I'm close with, so it's just like I love them. I truly do, and I get emotional, and so I think it's unfortunate because people misinterpret my sensitivity and then I think hide things from me, which then makes me more sensitive, and
Mm,
makes me almost embarrassed at times because I think there's been times where like, you know, people think that they can't give me feedback because I might cry. And like that might be the case, but like that's just me because I'm like, oh my gosh, like again,
mm,
childhood, like, oh, I suck, I
mm,
fucked up. But like, no, I want to know. Like I want to know. And
mm,
and actually I'm gonna far prefer if you just tell me rather than,
mm,
I don't know, like having a conversation with somebody else about the thing. And like
mm.
I've heard that a lot in my life. Like, oh well, I know you're really sensitive, so I'm gonna like deliver this really softly. And it's always like feedback that I'm like, oh no, that's like 100% true. Like I suck at that. Like
Yep.
that
And I
I'm not
think
upset.
people get scared of that. And then there's the flip side though, when people take advantage of that and think that
Yeah.
they like, oh well, Christina's sensitive. I can manipulate her to get her
Yeah.
where I think she needs to
Yeah.
be, which
Yeah.
is the flip side of that, which
Yes.
then it bounces back to your confidence to be able to stand up and go,
Yeah.
no, I don't want that. But before you had sort of really dug into this journey of, knowing who you are, it was very easy for you to go, oh, well, this person thinks I should be doing this, so I'm going to go do this. Whereas
Yeah.
now it's like, I just want to, this is where I'm going and I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Finish this sentence for me. Authenticity in action is?
Authenticity in action is, oh, I like this. I like this. Let me think. Authenticity in action is not linear. is the first thing that comes to mind. I just think, like, it's just like fitness. We never arrive, I don't think you never arrive at like, I am now fit. Like, there's always something to strive more for. I don't think I'm ever going to arrive at, oh, this is authentically me. I think humans in general, like, we all struggle with trying to conform to the people around us or trying to please the people around us. And, I mean, I think there's a lot of people out there that say that they don't do that, but I don't see how that's possible, and so, I mean, if so, good for them. But I just think it's not linear like any other journey. It's just it's work. You got to put work into it.
Perfect. I really love that. And that's the first time in a few of these episodes that I've heard that version. So I really like that. And so right now, what's lighting you up that's got nothing to do with business or brand Cristina, just something that's lighting you up with joy and purpose?
Honestly, I think I mean, honestly, just like kind of being here has been really lighting. It just feels I feel very authentic tonight, which is good. I guess it's appropriate for this podcast. But I would say that something I've been thinking about lately is that this summer I'd really like to take the girls on a little vacation. We've never really gone anywhere, and so they really want to get on a plane. And so I've been kind of brainstorming about, like, somewhere that we can fly for, like, not really expensive, and, like, honestly, we could stay in the cheapest hotel and they would be so happy. And it needs to be like 2 or 3 days, it does not need to be crazy. But I've been thinking more and more about that lately, and I'm really fortunate to have new affiliate owners that have really created the ability for me to even think about that being a possibility, because I would say that's never been a possibility for me to actually take a vacation. So that's something that I'm thinking about for this summer, and I'm really excited it's going to be really hard, like traveling with the girls alone. Like, I cannot even fathom how hard it's going to be. But I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Core memories just waiting to be made. And you're right. Yeah. You could stay in a budget motel and not do anything terribly much, but for them it's like it's a good lesson for all of us. It's going to be the journey, not the destination, that matters to them. They will remember the first time they went on a plane, and and then years later when they're doing their own travel, they'll realize what it took for you to take them on that when they reflect on that. So wins all round. So we talked that you do have your new Instagram. Where can people follow you if they want a dose of Cristina awesome and reality, or just to generally be in your orbit, or maybe you don't want to promote that account? That's fine too.
No, I do. And I think I think putting myself out there is something that is important for me, because my journey is so unique, I think. And I do want to share it with people in hopes of helping people. So yes, my new account is now coach.Cristina Anderson. It used to be the _. It is now dot. So very important distinction. So yeah, I think it's so funny too, the amount of people that like, people have started following me again. They're like, oh my God, like, they're like, I knew you took a break, but I can't believe you deleted that account. You had so many followers. And I'm like, yeah, I don't care. Like, it's just like, not that I don't love and respect those people, but it just, it's
the amount of people that reached out to me and said, is Cristina okay? She's disappeared. I went, yeah, she's doing what normal healthy people do and switching off social media for a while because she doesn't need it to keep doing the work she's doing. And they're like, oh, and because then immediately people go, Cristina must have blocked me. I can't find her accounts. Why is it necessarily that? It's like, and then you tell them that you're taking a break, and then they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So it's not about you guys. It's about what people want to do. So thank you, my friend. I have really enjoyed our chat and connecting, and actually face to face.
I know.
But I'm going to get our mutual friend Trish on, and maybe we'll do a 3-way episode for that. That'll be some
Oh,
fire
it'd be
on
so
that one,
good.
for sure.
That'd be
She's
so
again
good.
one of the most authentic people that I know.
Yeah.
There's like no
Trish is
filter. So
Trish.
Trish is Trish, and 0 fucks given if you like her or you don't. And she's gonna fight for what's right, and we love her dearly. So, but I appreciate your time. Thank you. Go and get yourself to bed, and new day tomorrow, and you'll just keep doing you. And I'm super proud of how far you've come.
Thank you. Thank you.